What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. So today I just want to make a quick video going over some issues that I had with a particular part in the car. So as you can tell by the title, one of my brake lines failed, or I had a brake component fail, but one of my brake lines failed. And luckily it was when I was pulling the car to the driveway. So drove it all day Saturday, or not all day, drove it Saturday evening, tested some stuff out. The car felt great. Sunday it was grayed out, so I said, you know what, let me do some last minute Christmas shopping, hit the gym up, I'll take the Supra out, it's a nice day, right? No. Pulled the car to the driveway and backed out of the driveway, went to go down the road, and as I'm driving, there's a little bit of traffic on the road, so I go to slow down. Well, the car doesn't slow down. And the pedal just goes to the floor, has absolutely no brake pressure. So I'm like, okay, and it's one of those things where you know what happened, but you're like, this didn't really just happen. So you brake again. And same thing. I'm like, get the hell out of here. So the night before I had been adjusting the caliper position because I have Evo 8 Brembo rear calipers. So the hole was actually a little bigger than the bolt that bolts into the Evo caliper. So it doesn't sit, sometimes it sits too close to the hub. So I loosened it, moved it over, tightened it up, and it seems to be good so far. But I was messing with that the night before, so I thought maybe I had screwed up and maybe kinked the line too hard or something. The caliper didn't hang, but in your head you're thinking everything else has been fine since day one. You drove the car, the last thing you messed was the rear caliper, so initially I thought it had to be that. So I pull up into the driveway, and for whatever reason I just popped the hood, and it was actually completely different. It had nothing to do with the rear caliper. It's actually one of the fragola brake lines that I bought for the car. So after I painted the engine bay, I decided that I was going to do away with a lot of the stock hard lines and the stock wiring. So that left me running a braided line from here. So this line right here goes into my line lock. Then the line lock return line is this one. So this goes down to a T, and that splits the two front calipers. Well, look at this guy. This is the line that it's supposed to be connected to. So yeah, this came apart while I was driving right down my road. And I am beyond grateful that it happened in the neighborhood when I was driving pretty slow, because had it happened on the highway, this could have been very, very bad. You could easily total a car if you can't stop it. Nobody's expecting to not be able to stop at all, so I was mad, but I was happy because I was so grateful that it happened where it happened, and not, later on down the road at the track or doing a pull or doing any data logging. It could have ended very, very bad. And that is why I really want to make this video. A part failure is never fun, and it's never fun to talk about. But I feel like this is something that I don't want to happen to somebody else if they're on the highway. So these are Fragola -2 brake lines. Yes, so they're -2, and I'll pop up a picture here so you can see it. They're Fragola 2AN brake lines with 3AN nuts. And the theory behind that is if you run the -2 line, it's less fluid that the master cylinder has to push because it's a smaller line. So using the same bore on the master cylinder, the smaller line having less fluid, it is more responsive and can push more fluid faster. So in theory, it sounds great, which that's, completely irrelevant to the issue, but I was just going over the product and why I bought it. So in theory, it sounded good. So I said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm buying brake lines. I have to replace them. Let me give it a shot. If it keeps the car feeling fun, good, responsive, then even better. So I ordered those, threw them on the car, and my two front brake lines going to the passenger caliper and to the driver caliper are both running those -2 lines with the -3 fitting. So I have that on both sides, and now I'm to the point where I can either go to a hydraulic shop, have them replace, or not replace, but have them make me a line with fresh crimps, and I have a little more confidence in their setup just because it's US made. It's usually, stuff from a hydraulic shop is usually, it's on industrial equipment. The pressure on a lot of that equipment is kind of crazy, so I feel like if it holds up to that, it'll definitely hold up to my braking. But a lot of times I don't like the way that looks, so my other option is to just order the Powerhouse Racing kit. Now this kit is a little bit pricey at about $300, maybe I'm a little bit off, but it's about $300, and in my opinion, that's a lot for some, -3 braided line with some coating on it. So I don't know. I don't want to cheap out. Obviously, I wasn't trying to really cheap out, but I did save some money going this route, and you see where it got me. Now, I could possibly reach out to the company and probably try to get a refund, but it's just not likely. But I am going to reach out to them regardless, just because I want to let them know that their product failed and could have cost me my car, my life, other people's lives. It could have been terrible. So I want to reach out to them, let them know that their product sucks. Nah, I'm just messing. I'm not gonna do that. But I am gonna let them know their product is that it sucks. And there is slack on it. It is not a tight like fitting. There might be a little bit of an angle to it, but it's a braided line. You install braided line in areas that you know there's gonna be a little bit of a flex. So it's not like you install a braided line and it has to stay fixed for the rest of its life, because that defeats the purpose of having it. So it's not tight, it does have slack, and it failed. So I want them to know that their product failed and that I'm not happy about that. So if anybody else is running these fragola brake lines, you know, maybe check them out, maybe check your crimp, maybe go somewhere or speak to somebody that's very knowledgeable on how the crimps on AN lines should be and get their opinion on it, because last thing I want is for anybody to have any brake failure and crash their car, hurt themselves or anybody else. So definitely look into that. I think the plan is, though, the Powerhouse Racing is probably going to be my go-to, because it'll match these this line I have right here going to my clutch delay valve. I think that looks really nice with the black Teflon coating. So if I match the brake lines with that, it'll look a lot better, cleaner, and yeah, that's probably the route I'll go. The end goal would be to do hard lines, but as I explained before, the brake line runs across the back of the engine, like the back of the engine bay. So we got the brake line going across there, all the way down here. Hope you guys can see it. Comes down here and into the wheel well, and then it goes down in there to another brake line that goes to the front caliper. So for me to do a hard line, I'd have to get some nice bends to get it to tuck back in there nicely. And OCD is, you know, all hell. So I'd want to get it tucked back in there nice and neat. So for me to do that, the motor wouldn't have to come out, but for me to actually get it back in there, it's gonna be hell. It's gonna be so much work to get it back there, get it right, get all the bends right, to where at this moment I think the Powerhouse Racing setup is my go-to. And I don't know, maybe I'll keep it, but like I said, the hard lines would be the ideal setup that I would love to go with, but it's just not practical right now with the engine still in the car. So that's something I'll figure out at a later date if I decide to switch to a hard line again. But that's going to wrap up this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions about the car, questions about the build, or anything else that I got going on in any of my other videos, definitely comment, ask a question. I'll always respond. Please subscribe if you want to see more of this. And also comment if you have any opinions on a brake line setup, because I really believe most people, when they go aftermarket, they all use braided lines. And braided lines are nice because of flexibility and you can put them anywhere. But ideally, you want a hard, solid line in an area that does not have any flex or any need to flex. So braided line is kind of like the go-to, but it's honestly not the best way. So I wish I would have did differently, but I'm making these mistakes and letting you guys know, that way you guys don't have to make these mistakes. So again, if this video helped you, please subscribe, definitely like, help me out, and comment, like I said, if you have any questions. Take care, guys.